are out of whack as he calls for a new approach based on the income potential of that land. Coming up, we'll explore the idea of shifting to an income-based approach. Plus, corn growers say protecting crop insurance is a priority in the coming Farm Bill debate. Later, we'll have the second part of our calving focus with Nebraska Extension. And we see how Nebraska cattle producers receive national honors. It's time to grow. Nebraska farmers and ranchers weigh in on the coming Farm Bill, and protecting crop insurance is a key component. NTV's Rochelle Ventura has more from local corn growers.
Ag Day, which is hosted by the UNL Extension, has become a tradition here in Hamilton County. Ag Day is all about giving people updates to take their farm to the next level.
The vendors and the other organizations that are here, you know, they play a role in agriculture in a big way, and so it's a way to facilitate communication between those companies and organizations and the producers of the area.
A lot of farmers, they don't know everything that we offer. It's just a good opportunity to get out in public and kind of promote some of the things that we offer.
And as we start the new year and legislative session, there's something in the minds of many of these farmers.
Right now, the top priority for NCGA is what's going on in Lincoln.
The Farm Bill is top concern as it sets important policy on everything from crop insurance to SNAP benefits.
Right now, Nebraska Corn Growers is prioritizing what their members are looking for in the Farm Bill. It seems like crop insurance is surfacing to the top, that we protect what farmers have with crop insurance, and international trade is very important. So working on prioritizing that, as well as there's some programs for beginning farmers, and that will be one thing to watch for in this Farm Bill as well.
Nebraska Corn Growers Association has about 2,400 members. Bergen says some of them are spending a lot of time in Lincoln and will soon visit Washington to speak with Nebraska representatives.
We will start prioritizing and voicing our opinion from the farm level to Washington and the Beltway to prioritize what we would like to see.
The Farm Bill has several points of debate. One of them is also climate change, as several environmental and conservation groups see the 2023 Farm Bill as an opportunity to make changes to ag policy that combat the global effects of climate change. All the details are on Nebraska.tv.
Nebraska has taken a market-based approach to setting property taxes, but this would be a major shift. In little over 2 months, planters will be rolling. Wade Sluka points to taxes as another rising cost of doing business.
Inputs have gone up, seed, fertilizers. As a farmer, I mean, it's gotten to be very challenging to make things work. We're just fortunate that the prices have stayed up and been able to, keep profitable through the high inputs along with the high taxes.
Many Nebraskans have seen rising property taxes, but agriculture has been disproportionately hit.
Farmers of this state, property owners, need some relief.
Valuations. The taxable value on farm ground skyrocketed 264% over a 10-year span, while residential and commercial property didn't rise nearly as much. Governor Jim Pillen says the state's market-based system hurts farmers. If a neighbor's ground sells for a high amount, that affects everyone.
Our county assessors are raising the value of everybody's land up to that and then increasing the taxation.
His solution is an income-based approach. The state would use a formula accounting for crop yields and expense data. And there would be a cap. Valuations could not go up more than 3.5% a year on a statewide basis. And it would see Nebraska come in line with states like Iowa, Kansas, and South Dakota.
No other states are doing it like we are. We're archaic, and it's not fair. It's not Nebraska. We have to change it.
Farm groups back the concept, although there are so many variables they worry the formula could have unintended consequences. And then there's the impact on schools and counties that depend on those dollars, something Wade Sluka knows as a Fillmore County board member.
Fine line between, you know, too much tax and not enough tax, because as soon as you start saying, hey, we're going to cut taxes, well, you're probably going to be cutting services as well.
The state projects double-digit increases on ag land valuations again in the coming year, and they say this new approach would slow that growth, but some lawmakers worry that will shift the burden elsewhere. As these Fillmore County leaders tour the Capitol, their county chairman and farmer expresses optimism his tax bill will improve.
Help the people of Nebraska.
Many of the supporters express reservations about some of the technical issues in the bill, while many of the opponents say they like the general approach. So it'll be interesting to see if they can bring those folks together and reach a compromise. Compared with other states, Nebraska lags behind when it comes to hemp production. NTV's Marcel Ventura has our story.
In 2021, the U.S. planted over 54,000 acres of hemp. Nebraska only planted about 260 acres of those. Producers here say things need to improve.
So I'll show you a couple things. This sign here actually is made entirely of hemp. This is hemp wood.
Hemp is used to make commercial and industrial products, including rope, textiles, clothing, shoes, food, and biofuel.
So you can use this as a fuel source. There's a lot of upward opportunity for Nebraska farmers. And Nebraska is one of the best territories to grow hemp. So I see a lot of opportunity here. We just haven't seen it happen yet.
Besh with Besh Enterprises is the CEO of Hemp Harvest Works in Giltner. The company has sold multiple hemp cutting machines all over the country.
Once those arms are out, those knives go through the field and they're just cutting the hemp.
But due to state laws, his hemp production happens in Colorado.
The regulations are easier. The state is set up to work with hemp producers in a much simpler way. They're following the national regulations.
Currently, Nebraska hemp production laws are different than the federal guidelines.
There's a bill in front of the legislature that hopefully we can get passed this year.
LB 263, which would change many aspects of the current state hemp laws. And many say these changes could attract more producers and investors to the state.
Particularly the clarifying the negligence rule as well as the harvest window, I think would tend to help address some uncertainty and difficulties for producers. You know, these clarifications would tend to remove some obstacles to investment in processing.
Reporting in the Tri-Cities, I'm Marcel Ventura.
Here's part 2 of our interview with Nebraska Extension.
The studies have shown that the biggest time for calf loss is actually in those first 3 weeks of life. So we know that that's critical and crucial for that calf to survive. Again, it starts with colostrum. That needs to happen in the first 24 hours.
Time is of the essence, to get that calf feeding from mom there.
Yeah, definitely. So you want to make sure that that calf gets the first colostrum meal in the first 24 hours, but actually I like to say the first 6 hours. They really need to be able to get up and get that started. There's a certain amount of window when that calf will absorb those antibodies that's in the colostrum, and that closes after 24 hours. So we get that going first. Secondly, we know that after that calf gets going, it's those first 3-4 weeks of life that are the most important, that we try to keep that immunity building. So the calf is building up its immune system off of the colostrum, and then there's a potential for different types of bugs that it can get into. And as more calves come into the area, the greater potential for pathogens or bugs to start to multiply. And so you get more calves, there's more bugs, and then the immune system, there's like a tipping point. So you want to make sure that those babies, if you can kind of keep them the same age group together, that will decrease the amount of pathogens that are in the environment. And then also, if you do have a certain issue that's going on within your herd that you previously have had problems with, again, this is where you talk to your veterinarian and you establish what sort of protocols that you need to put into place.
but I'm sure you feel a whole lot better after you've got that live birth. They've made it through a couple of weeks, and they're starting to get to the point where you think they're going to thrive, and then you feel a whole lot better about the situation, don't you?
Yeah, there's definitely a time that you can kind of, well, you never really relax in the calving business or the cattle business, but there is a little bit of a time, the sun starts to come out a little bit more. Those calves have areas to go where maybe they can escape if they're in a lot situation, and they start to play and they're thriving. And then your hard work is just definitely pays off, when you get to see them growing.
This is obviously an important time of year. This is your future of your herd, and you want to have success right this time of year, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And that's why, we're talking about right now because it's calving season, but this is obviously planned the whole year through. Nutrition becomes really important in that cow because, again, her body condition score and how well she's doing at calving will affect how well her colostrum is. And so making sure that the amount of antibodies are proper in there. And the other thing that's really important on the cow side is that we want to get her rebred. Her whole goal is to have this calf every year. And so in order for her to come back around and cycle properly during breeding season, she needs to be in the right nutritional plane. And we know that right after calving and that cow is starting to milk, that cow needs the most nutritional requirements that she'll need in her lifetime. So she's trying to put all of her energy into that milk for that baby while she's trying to keep on her condition. So you want to make sure that your nutrition is up to date. So, speak to your nutritionist, your veterinarian, any of us in Extension, we can help you get that set up so that you're feeding the right amount for that cow to thrive so that she will get rebred in the spring so that we can do it all over again next year.
Up next, we're going to celebrate 4-H month, and still to come, honor Nebraska livestock producers receiving national recognition.
This portion of NTV's Grow is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
February is 4-H month, touching a lot of youth here in Nebraska, and NTV's Sarah Kirkley has more.
4-H in celebration mode. What's happening in Buffalo County in February?
February, we plan to celebrate 4-H month all month long here in Buffalo County. We are starting the fun next Wednesday, February 7th, with 4-H Spirit Day. So we invite all 4-H members and supporters and volunteers to wear their green gear that day to show their 4-H pride. Now, on February 17th, we invite all Buffalo County 4-H members and supporters to stop by the Buffalo County Extension office to get some popcorn and slushies from us. And we're also doing a service project here all month long as well. And we'll be asking our 4-Hers to bring in children's books and also to write cards. So the children's books will be going to nursing home residents, and then we're going to send some cards to the nursing home residents here in Buffalo County. And we'll also just have some fun ideas and different things shared on our Facebook page as well.
So are events happening just in Buffalo County or across the state?
Yeah, we have different events that are happening all across the state. So we have some statewide events. So on February 7th, as I mentioned, we have everybody will be wearing their 4-H green across the state. And then even though we're doing our service project all month long, February 11th and 12th is the state weekend of service. So some places will be doing their service projects that weekend. And then all across the state, the different counties will be celebrating in different ways. So if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to your local extension offices.
And are you able to enroll in 4-H this next month?
Absolutely. So 4-H enrollment is open, and it will be open till June 15th. But if you're interested, be sure to do it now rather than later. And if you have any questions, like I said, you can contact your local extension office, and they will sure help you how to enroll. It's a little different for everybody. And then when you're enrolled to become a 4-H member, you're definitely opening a door to lots of opportunities.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jordan. What a great organization.
You'll want to stay with us. Regina's in next with our Grow Weather Outlook.
NTV's Grow Weather is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
Well, you can see a lot of the plains and the drought monitor included in some sort of drought category, from the northern plains down to the central plains, even stretching into the southern plains too. But there are some areas off to our east and in parts of Colorado to the north of there too that are looking at drought-free conditions at this point. Now, there is a small area of Kansas as well. Kansas did have an update this week that added more to the area of northeast Kansas, now included in no drought category, according to the drought monitor. Let's take a closer look though at Nebraska, and these numbers are specifically for Nebraska. The entire state included in some sort of drought category, but really in terms of what we had this week versus last week, there wasn't a change across Nebraska. We still have that exceptional drought highlighted in that darker red shading. Northeast Nebraska and north central Nebraska experiencing some of that. Western Nebraska, southwest Nebraska, northwest Kansas also seeing those conditions as of this week. Extreme drought is highlighted in red. We have severe drought in orange, moderate drought in the tan shading, and then still a small area in southeast Nebraska of abnormally dry conditions. Now, we will continue to see that snowpack melting across our area this week, so we'll have to watch for some changes in the coming weeks thanks to that melting. That should make some sort of impact in at least parts of the state, as some areas still have quite a bit of snowpack right now, and those temperatures looking pretty mild for this week. Now, in terms of our temperature outlook for the entire month of February, so when you average out those numbers for the entire month, we are looking at below average temperatures for portions of the panhandle. That stretches off to the west too. And then parts of the East Coast down to the south and parts of Oklahoma, Texas too. They are likely to see above average temperatures when you average out those numbers for the entire month. Now, anywhere not shaded, looking at equal chances, that means there's no strong signal for above average or below average numbers in terms of the next month. And then for precipitation, parts of eastern Kansas stretching down to parts of the southern plains, off to the east toward the East Coast, near the Great Lakes, northern plains, northwest, likely to see above average precipitation. Now, below average precipitation is forecast across parts of Florida, parts of Texas, and then you can see other parts of the Southwest likely to experience below average precipitation for the next month. Looking farther out in terms of temperatures, the northern plains off to the northwest, along other parts of the West Coast too, likely to see below average temperatures for the next 3 months. So that's when you average out those numbers for that entire time period. Equal chances for all of Nebraska, all of Kansas, but then you head toward the south and then up toward the East Coast, likely to see above average temperatures. Now, in terms of precipitation, we are looking at below average precipitation currently forecast for Nebraska, stretching down into Kansas, and then also the southwest, the southern plains, likely to see that continuing. But then you can see there's a large area right in this area near the Great Lakes, and then off to the north and off to the northwest, likely to experience that above average precipitation as we look ahead toward the next 3 months. Let's take a look at our almanac just for this week. Normal high this time of year right around 38, normal low 17. Both our week ahead average high, our week ahead average low above those normals, and it's actually looking like a fairly mild week in terms of those highs and those lows, especially for this time of February. And then our proverb for this week: if the snow that falls during the winter is dry and is blown about by the wind, a dry summer will follow. Very damp snow indicates rain in the spring. That's a check of your Grow weather forecast. We'll have the very latest coming up next week.
Calving, FFA district contest, whatever you've got going on lately you think is photo worthy, snap a picture and send it to us at nebraska.tv/chime in. Part of Highway 76 in Chase County closed, not due to weather or a crash. As some of you guessing, it was due to a large herd of cattle, a very large herd. The Chase County Sheriff's Office posted this video to its Facebook page of the cattle crossing at Highway 61 and 727 Road. The area was closed off for driver and cattle safety as they moved along. It's cattle convention time, and we've got highlights next.
Ag Outlook on NTV's Grow is driven by Cornhusker Toyota Honda, home of the Toyota Tacoma and Tundra trucks, and Nebraska's only dual Toyota Honda dealer.
No secret, Nebraskans make a big impact on the cattle industry, and many are recognized at the national level. KRVN's Bryce Duskett has been providing coverage for us, and if you missed it, here's a sample.
Always fun to see those Nebraska cattle feeders on the big stage, isn't it?
So from Drennan Feedlots, Terry Wagner got the Daniel Armendariz Employee of the Year at the Cattle Feeders Hall of Fame, a significant award. Jerry Adams with Adams Land and Cattle was one of the Hall of Fame recipients. Buck Werbine will be voted in on Friday as the Vice President of NCBA, so that's really significant, and Buck will do a tremendous job. And then we have committee leaderships. So Ken Hers is Chair of Ag and Food Policy. Jacqueline Wilson is Chair of International Trade. We have Barb Cooksley, who's Vice Chair of Property Rights and Environmental Management, and Mike Drennan is Vice Chair of Live Cattle Marketing. So Nebraska has a huge impact on the way we do business in the cattle and beef industry, and it makes us proud to have those people serve.
Congratulations to those Nebraska cattle producers, and we'll see you back here again next time as we see how agriculture makes Nebraska grow.